So we're here at the Textiles podcast. It's great to be here. We've got Textiles 10. I'm joined by a very special guest. You wouldn't mind introducing yourself?
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Beast Boogie, here back in Bradford, UK for Textiles 10. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, man, it's great to have you, man. It's been, how many times has it been now you've been to Bradford?
This will be my third time.
Amazing,
time.
amazing. So would you tell our audience or what crew you represent and where you're from?
For sure.
Well?
So I represent Havikoro crew and Vicious Germz crew out of Houston, Texas. And yeah, it's been a long journey, but here we are. So I've been breaking well, actually, this upcoming January will be my 30th year of breaking since 1996.
That's crazy. Yeah. So yeah, how old were you when you started breaking?
Yeah, so I started breaking in middle school in 7th grade. So I was 12 going on 13 years old. And yeah, I was always an athlete growing up. So, but I always had like an artistic side, like entertainment side that I wanted to cover. So when I saw breaking, I was like, oh, this kind of covers all angles: athletic, entertainment, artist, all of that.
Over the years, we've had like loads of connections, coming back and forth, Texas, Bradford, and it's become like a, amazing connections, you know what I mean? And, I was just saying for you, what do you think like some of the similarities you see maybe between the two scenes, of Texas and Bradford?
Yeah, so definitely coming over here the first time, I was curious to see like what was going on here and what was the scene like, because everywhere you go all over the world, scenes are different. And so when I first came here, especially hanging out with y'all, I had a real vibe, like Texas style vibe, because growing up it was all about your crew. So and y'all have a solid crew here and y'all are very united. And so that's kind of like what drew me, not just to y'all, but to the scene over here as well.
So speaking of like the crews, which crews have you represented in, in your years of breaking? Like,
so my first crew is actually called Little Rascals Crew. We were, because when I started dancing, we were, it was in an apartment complex. We were super young, so we didn't get to move around a lot. And so I had some friends that I started dancing with, and we were Little Rascals Crew. It was just like in our apartment complex and like around the neighborhood. And then I actually had joined 3D Crew. I know y'all know of 3D Crew.
Yeah.
And that was for a little bit. Again, that was more expanding outside of like my apartment complex and just a little neighborhood. This was more of like moving around Houston. And then once this was all middle school years. Once I hit high school, this is when we became Vicious Germz. All of our friends from around the neighborhood we've been dancing for a while now, and so we were leveling up, and we just decided to make a crew with everybody in the neighborhood instead of just having the crew split up. So we made one bigger crew, and we called it Vicious Germz.
And it's crazy because even over here across the other side of the world, we knew about Vicious Germz. So it's just amazing, like that. You never know what you're doing. I guess at the time, how much influence it's going to have in across the world.
Yeah, so actually, we were a crew for about a year and a half, 2 years, and we didn't have a name because we couldn't come up with something. And we had one of my friends, his name is Donald. He was one of the original members, and he would just always say random stuff, just random words, and put words together. And one day the word germs came up, and we were like, oh, that's actually sounds like something we can use. And he was like Vicious Germz, and we were like, yup, that's it, and that stuck.
Yeah, that's sick. And how many, back in them days, how many people did you used to have in a crew? Like, how it was,
Well, obviously, crews back then it was groups of friends. So eventually, it would filter out. So the dance, like you would start with like 10 people, let's say, and you would end up with like 7 members that actually continue to dance and build, and then you would bring in new people along the way. But I would say I'd say 8 to 10 people would be a solid crew. Although once I moved on from Vicious Germz, we all kind of went our own way. I became a member of Havikoro, and Havikoro has an infinite amount of members. But I would say we were always solid. Havikoro between 15 and 20 members, because a lot of the guys stuck around through the years, and even though they may not have been dancing or going to competitions, they were still in the scene. They were still helping build the crew, and we were throwing events and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's crazy, like, yeah, and Havikoro's still going strong,
Havikoro's still
still
going
got the
strong.
new generation
Yeah.
representing and things like that. So, yeah, for us, it's big inspiration as Havikoro as well, definitely.
Some of the routines that you guys were doing back then were crazy.
Yeah, yeah, we were known for our routines. We had good chemistry, and that's the thing about a lot of crews. They maybe put together with different dancers, but we were like a solid crew. We had good chemistry, we had good friendship.
Mm,
A lot of us lived together through the years and things like that. So and we did a lot of performances. We were in the NBA dancing for the Houston Rockets for 5 years together. So we were constantly building routines and things like that. And I actually feel like Vicious Germs was like the college years for me.
mm.
And then once I got in Havikoro, it was like I moved up like from college to the pros. Like
Yeah,
so,
that's
and
great.
I mean
Yeah,
that's just what it felt like at the time. So
yeah. And they had that rep, and they were traveling a lot, weren't they, and
exactly.
stuff. So yeah,
But I also grew up with Havikoro as well. It's not like I just randomly got in their crew. We were friends before Vicious Germs was even made.
mm,
When Havoc and Koro were two separate crews, there was Havoc and Koro, and we were competing back then against them, and we were just always practicing together. And then eventually we started entering competitions together. And then once Vicious Germs kind of faded out, just life stuff. People move on. Some people don't dance. Some people get work, family, different things. And then Havoc Koro is where
yeah.
it's been since.
And I was gonna say, like, we're seeing like breakers, like when I was younger, like I think being around, I don't, 30 was like the limit, because we had, even in the UK, we had like dirty 30s events,
Yeah.
which only came in later as well. So most people were stopped by 30, but like we're seeing more and more breakers dancing. And I know you just had your 40th birthday, and it was celebrated at Big Girl City as well, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was amazing to see. Like, what would you say is like, how have you kept longevity in your dance? Because you can just you still got it. I remember at the is it the Houston Vision we went, where you was hitting the handcuff mills,
Oh,
and
yeah.
everyone was
Yep.
taking chunks out of themselves,
Yep.
and
Hank.
you hit about 10 clean mill. So what I'm saying is, you still got most of your moves, you still got the speed. Yeah. What would you say is like your kind of maybe not secret, but what's kept you going?
Yeah, I mean, I would say what's kept me going the most is the mentality. So through the years, I know a lot of people feel like they have to move on or they have to quit but dancing is something that's always there. You can take breaks. You don't have to, and I think that's the biggest thing that I did through the years was take breaks. Whether when I there was a point where I was competing, performing, teaching, practicing, throwing events, all for like 5, 10 years straight. And I realized that I needed to split some of that up so I wouldn't burn myself out so much
Yeah.
or burn myself out just from breaking in general. And I think somewhere there in the middle, obviously, the health part of everything came in. When we were younger, it was less important. As you were getting older, the health and uh, just the mindset all was something that you needed to continue to grow. So once I started taking care of my mind, my body, it's led me all the way to here. And like I was saying this the other day, I'm going on 30 years, and people always ask me, do you train every day and this and that? And I tell them no, but I mean, I train my body as far as like the gym and
Yeah.
eating and stuff, but I've been dancing for so long that I know how to turn it on. I know how to turn it off. I know, how to when it's performing something different. It's different than battling. It's different from cipher. It's all different. So you just got to know when to pull out certain things, and
Yeah, and
yeah,
that's
you
good
build that through
advice.
experience over the
Yeah.
years.
But you sounds like you break for you're breaking for yourself when you feel it, and I think that's important, because if you have other things in mind, that's when you can sort of get hurt trying to do
Yeah,
something or trying to be a certain way. But if you just do as you feel, then,
yeah.
that's a good thing, definitely.
Another thing I learned too is that it doesn't all have to be about breaking. It could be there's other things that I learned to love outside of breaking that influences my breaking and actually helps me better with it. So like I do Spartan races, like the obstacle course
Mm,
races, and that's the athletic part of me that's still building. And then hosting events and different things like that. There's always stuff that adds to your break, and it doesn't just have to be the moves. It can be the mentality.
mm.
So
Yeah, well, one of the things that's important for us, and one of the reasons we always want you, down. Other than other than your great personality, and you make everyone laugh and have a good time and everything like that. But for us, you know, being we had a hard time coming up as Clean North, and we used to get robbed, and we used to have loads of different problems, coming up, and we were, some of that might have been, a little bit of our fault. We had a hard energy, but at the same time, a lot of it wasn't, and getting robbed at a jam, because I feel like a judge is so important because it shapes the scene, because whoever wins, that's the eyes go to that person. So when we did our events, and textiles began, I felt like one of the most important elements would be, because we were such a controversial crew as well. We were inviting our rivals. We wanted them to come to the jam. We wanted everyone to be part of the jam. So like the judging had to be like fair and honest, like number one, like, because we didn't want anyone like. Obviously some people are going to be upset either way. They're going to say they robbed, whether they were or not. Yeah, but you want it to be where the winner wins, and then the eyes go to that person, and then it's a positive thing because everyone can look at that guy and then move towards that kind of level of breaking. But you're a super, the way you judge is very, consistent, and just like Tim is a really, been consistent, and Marius is super consistent, and that's, I think, sometimes with jams, they're just looking at a name, like the newest name of someone who just won the last jam, they're going to judge it. It doesn't really make much sense. But for you, you're really consistent in that way. How's your approach to judging when you judge? Because I know these guys, when they went to New York, that's how they met you as well, judging as well.
Yeah, I mean, so like with judging's always going to be tough. It's you come across so many dancers, and everybody's different, styles are different. But I look for energy. I feel like energy is a big thing, and you got to look like you love dancing. A lot of dancers, when they're competing, especially, like, it's just mean mugging, just breaking. And if that's your style, that's great. I was the same way. That's where I got my name from. Beast, was that I was a very aggressive dancer. But I feel like your energy really tells a lot of your story, and so sometimes I see dancers look down. I mean, it goes down to the details. Like some of them walking off look like they know they did terrible, when all eyes are on you from the minute you walk onto the floor to the second you walk off. So you literally have to always be on point with that. But I mean, there's so much. There's judging the top rock and footwork and power, and everybody likes different things, and so I with the consistency in judging, one of the main things I tell other judges when they ask me is, you got to take the emotion out of it. So a lot of dancers, when they judge, their friend is battling, or their crew's battling, or somebody they don't like is battling, and so you got to take the emotions out, and you just have to base it on the dance that day itself. Not what they did before, not what they're going to do in the future, what they did right then and there. And so, I look for details. Like I like, you can have the big flashy moves, but for me, it's the small details that counts. Again, like if you get up and walk off and your head's down, like that's,
you letting everybody know.
For me, it's like, like, no, I'm going to entertain from the second I walk in to the second even on the side, when it's not even my turn, I'm over there like just dancing or getting hype. So but again, everybody judges different, and I think that's like what you said. It's tough to get judges that kind of all see the same areas, of dancing. And me and Tim grown to be good friends because we have a lot of similarities in the way we look at dancing. So I think it's definitely a tough job, and I don't know. It's not always the best job, especially when there's tough battles and you have to choose. But at the end of the day, if you have the right judges with the right mentality, then you'll have a good outcome.
For I think if events focus on that as well as a thing, it can help the scene as well. And it's judging. I think people think judging is just a nice. When I'm judging, I'm always, I always feel like I'm battling. I don't know
it
how
does
to,
feel like that.
I'm like, I feel like I'm battling because I'm like watching it, and I'm in there. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's, it's not somewhere just to be in that position just to look good, or it's a responsibility, right? And you've got to do the right thing. But I mean, we've got a lot of youth here, you know, when we traveled to Texas, we saw you guys have a lot of youth as well.
Yeah.
You know, you know, it's amazing what you're doing. Could you tell us a little bit about what you've done with the youth out in Texas?
Yeah. So yeah, the youth, not just Texas, but all over the world, the youth right now are unbelievable. The level of dance that they're learning now is just beyond comprehension. Sometimes, I mean, you got. I don't even know the name of the kid, but he's doing like 10 one-hand,
Oh, I've
air
seen him.
tracks, like just in his room chilling with his mom watching, and it's like,
Yeah,
it's unbelievable some of these things. But I would say, a solid like 10 years ago, we started seeing a lot more youth in Texas, especially in Houston, and they started becoming more consistent. And I think not just myself, but all the dancers around Houston started helping the youth. And
yeah.
it started with like Valencio and Marcus and some other ones, but all the way down to now like B-Boy Blue and Jay Slim and Flippers and all those guys are hungry. You can see it in them. So I think what the biggest thing that happened in Houston was we started having dance studios based on breakin, and like Break Free was one of the first ones.
Yeah.
And so there was a home for these competitors or just non-dancers to come and learn this aspect of dance and this culture. And it just became like focused on the youth. So yeah, that's what we started doing. Everybody started working with the youth, and it's definitely shown now how far it's come, because all those guys that I just named are literally going across the world right now doing like unbelievable competitions. And not even that, some of them are getting work performing and
Which
doing other
is,
things.
yeah, that's
But
incredible.
I would say not just the dance studios, but all the older generation dancers, like Jose, like myself and Havikoro, and all these guys turn their focus from themselves to helping the community, not just the youth, but with competitions, with spaces to dance, with bringing in people from other countries to help, and not just help, but bring their aspect of things. And over time, it's built to what it is now. So these youth, especially in Houston, are getting every aspect, not just from us, but they're getting it from out of towners. They're getting it from online. And then of course they're traveling everywhere and building their own experiences, and that's the way to do it. It's like you plant a seed and you watch the plant grow, and sometimes the plants die out, but our plants are growing nice and strong and healthy. And so it's great to see that, because what you left behind is also being used,
Yeah,
so
I see a lot of your moves. Do you know, it's so funny because I was watching your old footage and then I would see something and I was like, doesn't this person or that person do that? I was like, oh man, that's crazy.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's influence. It's
but that's a good
influence.
thing. That's
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
positive thing. You know, that's what you're leaving behind
And they're
in that
taking
way.
things, if you're teaching things and they're taking it on board, that's what you want to see as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, the influence is not just the dance moves. Yeah, sure, they might do some of the moves, but it's also the work ethic. It's also the training methods. It's also all those things that they're picking up as
Yeah.
well.
And people know from your social media stuff, you're really on that like next level. So that's inspiring to a lot of your community as well.
Yeah.
Just to, you know, get into that world and to see that, you know,
Yeah.
because yeah, I mean you smashed it on that absolutely.
Well, it started. I mean, I was teaching. I'm really good with teaching beginners from scratch, because I'm good with kids. I'm good with working with kids and helping them understand what this is. So it's just it's like it's a feel good thing too as well. When you're able to help students, and again, a lot of them filter out. I mean, I teach beginners a lot of the times, and maybe 1 to 2 to 3 of them will end up actually being a breaker long term and battling and doing those things. And then that's where the influence comes in, where you see some of your movements and different things like that. So
Yeah.
but it's all love. It's all growth, and it's something special to
Yeah.
see.
No, and when I went out there last time, I did the over 40s and then the youth battles, and yeah, the
Yeah.
youth were amazing. But I was saying that's something that Bradford shares with Texas as well, is the B girls, because when I came out it was for B Girls City,
Yeah.
and you're one of the only like male members of the team at yeah, A1
Yeah.
Supreme's DJ.
Yeah.
But you know, it's sort of like you know, what do you think? You know, that I think that's a healthy part of the scene is having B-girls around and having that mix. You know,
Yeah,
and when
yeah.
you go to Texas, it's such a cool. It's amazing.
Yeah. So this is a big reason why I'm in B Girl City is because I've hosted events since almost when I started dancing. So for let's say 25 years, I've been hosting events in Houston. And when we first started hosting events, I always added a youth battle or a B-girl battle,
Mm,
even if there was only like 3 or 4 of them showing up. I knew that that was going to be the future. I knew that that was going to be something that grew like a plant.
yeah.
And so um, you know, Baby Girl's been around. She runs B Girl City, and she's been around since. I mean, we grew up together
Mm,
since I started dancing. So she always knew I was part of the scene and always trying to help with the youth and with the B Girls. So once B Girl City came around and they started becoming a bigger organization, um, I was always one they looked to help with certain things, and then eventually I became part of the group, and so and it's very inspiring to see not just the youth but the b-girl scene as well, because again we started with a couple b-girls, or there was a good amount at one time and they kind of faded out, and but you know there was a few young b-girls like Josie Rock and Jelly Bean and some other ones that they stuck to it and they helped grow that b-girl scene there, and now it's like, again, just like the youth battles, the b-girl battles are almost
oh,
as
they
intense or as strong as just a regular, you know, the regular battle
yeah,
itself, whether it's a
super intense.
b-boy or
Yeah.
b-girl battle or whatever. But those are always like super hype, and you see it goes back to the energy. You see the energy in the b-girls and especially the youth, what they're bringing to the floor. They're bringing, you know, a whole different energy, as to where B-boys, again, it's not that the energy's not there, but it's just the high level of it, the competitiveness, the moves where
Mm,
the B-boys excel a little bit more. But the B-girls and the youth bring that energy. They
very
bring
much.
that they're genuine. Yeah, it's more of a genuine, like, I'm just here to do this because I love it. I don't even care if I win.
Mm,
And you know, that's the difference where a lot of B-boys, they want to win. That's why they're there. So
mm,
and I think sometimes that'll make the difference, you know.
yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah. So again, coming to my first experience in Bradford, I didn't know what to expect. I looked up the place and it was a small little city, and I'm like, I don't know what to expect here.
Texas is huge. Like
Yeah.
Houston, you drive everywhere. Over here, you can walk everywhere.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. I love going to cities where you can actually walk around like the whole entire place. Where as to where Houston, you can't walk outside because it's too hot. And then not only that, like it's so big that I mean, you just have to drive everywhere. But yeah, coming to Bradford again, I didn't really know what to expect. I did see you know, Fox and Labyrinth compete in New York, and I thought very highly of them, and that's how we actually met. Was I was one of the judges at that competition, which was the Pro Breaking Tour, and it was a top 16, and I just saw them, and I think y'all were like 17th, the 18th right there, and I was fighting for y'all to try to get in, and it just didn't work out. But I went up to y'all after and we talked, and we were talking about breaking and just like all the, you know, why I felt like they should have made it, and we just made a good connection. And here a month later, I was here for Textiles 8,
Yeah, which was
and
great.
that's where we had met,
Yeah.
and your whole crew and stuff. And when I go back to Texas, I always tell them about y'all. This is why this one's special for me, because we actually have other people from like my area here,
Mm.
D-Tex and Galleta, and so it definitely feels a little bit more of a genuine experience for me because I get to have some of my people here as well, show them around because I already know the town. I can walk around this whole place, and
Yeah.
but for the most part, I think I don't even have to say words because y'all actually came, you know. So after Textiles 8, a couple months later, y'all came to B Girl City. And so I didn't really have to explain to everybody the vibe and the energy here. They felt it from y'all when y'all
Mm,
were there.
mm,
And so I think that's how we started building. And of course, this is my third time here. Y'all came to Houston twice. So I think the exchange of energy and the exchange of just friendship, and people see those things. So it's not
mhm.
necessarily something you have to explain sometimes. But my overall take of Bradford is y'all have a great community here. Y'all have great leadership. Obviously, y'all are building something special here. And every time I've come to the event, all the battles, everything has been great. There hasn't been one time where I'm like, oh, this one was a little bit, you know, a little bit like, I don't want to use that word, but it's every year it's better and better. Every year gets better and better, and obviously, every time I come here, I see more and more dancers. So
Yeah, yeah,
and some of y'all's youth as well. I've seen them grow in these last couple of years,
yeah.
and they're crazy. So
Yeah, we're trying to build up our, for us, we're trying to look, we want to have international and national people coming to Bradford and that, but we also at the same time trying to build up our own scene,
yeah,
our own city. We want everyone to, want to have a good existing city where, and that's why we have like Bradford Brawl, where it's focused mainly on Bradford and, but it is great to give inspiration and for people to see you and like you said, get
yeah.
G-Tex and
Well,
yeah,
that's one of the best things you can do is bring people from other places and to your community, so they get to the people here get to experience others from elsewhere, because they don't get to, some people don't get to travel everywhere. They don't get to go to all the jams or go to
yeah,
Texas
true,
or
true,
this and that. So you bringing it here is actually it's really special for them. And people build as well, like from Textiles 8 till now. I've built a lot of connections here. I teach online to students in the UK and
which
different
is
things like that.
that's
So
crazy. Yeah,
it's definitely it's just building blocks all the way through for y'all and for people that come, you
yeah.
know.
Well, yeah, no, thanks for always hosting us, man, in Texas. And I would advise anybody as well who wants to, if you're going out to US, you've got to go to Big Hill City,
Yep.
because it's, and I think Texas as well has still got like some places it feels like, breaking is getting more like separated from hip hop in a sense of it's more competition. When I've gone to Houston, I can feel like hip hop's it's just alive there, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's like
Yeah.
I'm like you could go to Houston and just have even if you could have a good time, like you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Because we try to do our best to include all the elements hip hop, so everyone can get a full like real experience. When we go Beagle City, it's a similar kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. A lot of the competitions, especially in Texas, like B-Boy City, B-Girl City, and some other ones, you know, we always have all elements, or we try to at least incorporate them, and I think that's what y'all do here, which is good.
Yeah, true.
It's not just a competition for breakers. There's there's graffiti, there's everything, and even the MCs and the DJs get their highlights and their shine. So I think that's a big part of it. I mean, you got to expose this to everybody. One of the hardest things before was exposing breaking to people. Now it's exposing the actual hip hop culture and to them, because again, a lot of them think it's just music or
Yeah.
it's just one style of dance, and showing them that it's all of this in one, and that we actually come together and we can all do it together.
Mm.
I think that's like one of the best things you can expose to everybody.
Yeah. And one of my last questions is just, like I know you well, or more well, but I know you've got a really good, um, you kind of have a good balance in life, like with you do work and you've got your break and you've got
Yeah.
lots of other things going on. What advice would you give to people about trying to keep like balancing plates, or keeping things
Yeah.
going, and
Yeah.
what would you
Well,
say?
balancing life in general is hard. It's not
Yeah.
it's not easy. So to add something like breaking, where you have to be super dedicated to excel in it,
Yeah.
it's always going to be tough. But one thing that I did was I actually made it my job. Breaking was it was, and it's tough. Not everybody's gonna be able to do that, and you have to find the different ways. So, I was open to teaching. I was open to performing. I was open now to social media. As to where a lot of people don't do those things, or they only do one thing and they focus only on that, and that's fine. That
Mm.
will excel you in your art quickly. But if you're looking to make this full time, if you want to make money off of this, you definitely have to have a balance, and that's with work, family, and your dance. So one thing that I did over time was I just made sure that I was focusing not just on breaking, but on the other elements as well. So this is why you see me on social media a lot, because I have to put time and effort into that, just like I had did breaking. That's one thing breaking will teach you. And this is what I tell people too. Like a lot of the times, if you're a breaker for a long time and like you go get a random job somewhere, you're probably going to be the best worker there, because you've learned discipline, you've learned how to earn something. Like when I tell my students, I tell them, you don't learn these moves, you earn these moves, because
Right.
you're not going to do them one time and learn it. You're going to do it 100 times before you get it. And that's like earning something. So you just have to learn how to balance. And I know that's that's an easy word to say, oh, balance, balance, balance. But it truly is something that you have to work on. It's not just going to happen overnight. And again, family, work, and dancing. Those are the three things that you really have to balance.
Yeah.
We have been asking. We did the like a crew challenge for this year's event, and we were asking them to describe what crew mentality, what being in a crew, what it means to them. What does it mean to you?
Yeah, I feel like the definition of being in a crew and what it takes and what, you know, it's changed over the years, just because dancing has evolved and breaking has been it's so high level now that a lot of competitors focus more on themselves than the crew, or they feel like they have to dance with people that are as good as them.
Yeah.
One of the things I learned when we were growing up as a crew, whether it was Vicious Germz or Havikoro, is that you got to compete with everybody in your crew. It doesn't matter if it's the newest or weakest dancer. You actually you competing with, let's say, like the weakest or the newest dancer in your crew, it's not only going to benefit them, it's going to benefit you as well, because you learn those leadership skills. You learn how to you know, go double time. Sometimes you got to go harder, or sometimes you got to do the tiebreaker. If there's a tiebreaker, you know, it's like, oh, it's me, I got this, you know.
Yeah.
And just growing up in general, like your crew was what you represented. It wasn't just you. It wasn't a brand. It was your crew. So you always had to make sure that everybody was on the same, you know, mentality of it. So, but more than ever now, it's also doing the things that y'all do, whether it's teaching or performing or building a you know, some type of brand, and that's exactly what it is. And y'all have the perfect mix of that. So yeah,
Oh, thanks.
congrats.
Yeah. No, that's great.
Because not a lot of people have that, and
Yeah.
hopefully more crews emerge through the years and get back to it being more of a crew vibe rather than just like, you know, a solo vibe. My main message is definitely don't quit, because dancing is always going to be in your life no matter what. It's not something that just fades away unless you let it, you know. But no matter what, it's always something you can fall back on. It's free. It's something that gives you motivation. It's something that's physical. It's great for your body. And the main thing I would say is just don't give up. As tough as things might be sometimes, whether it's money or it's family, breaking's always there. And so even if you need to take that break, come back, it's still there.
Big respect. Peace.
Alrighty, bro.
Much love.
Appreciate you.